let's just start with Albert. Hey, do you like Albert? What do you want me to call you?
I go by literally anything, honestly.
Okay.
Like I know a lot of people are picky about names. I've never cared.
Cool. So Josh works for me.
Okay.
I don't even use my name on social media, so like probably the first time anyone that even knows about the channel knows my name. So okay.
Cool.
But just introduce yourself. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Albert Oak. I've been speed climbing about 1.2, 3, 5 years. Not too long, but long enough to have really got sucked into it. I've thought about speed climbing for a very long time. Pretty much the start of climbing, and I knew it existed, but I never had the resources. And there's even sort of like a sad, traumatic story behind that that is kind of interesting, but it's the start of my villain story arc, and I love speed climbing. I think about it so much. I've contacted IFSC with a lot of ideas. I have this own program in Momentum where I believe it's the only, and if not first and only, adult focused speed climbing program in the world, if not America. So yeah, this is my passion. I've fully dedicated my life. I dropped everything from Texas and moved to Salt Lake to have a good facility to train in, and I'm all in.
That's excellent. Speed climbing needs more people like you, and I was really excited to see Momentum also sharing, your training sessions that you're having on their social media. I mean,
It's so cool. Yeah, like man, like where they were so chill about it. They just like kind of let me do whatever my own thing, and like I have like up to 20 people showing up per class. Kind of overwhelming for one person to coach 20 people.
yes,
Um, yeah. And
yeah,
so now I'm in a nice cadence where there's a lot of returners that sort of know what to do. And I just tell them, hey, all right, you guys are going to run on this lane, record it. I will coach this side, then I'll switch over, coach you, go back and forth.
nice.
Recently had a guy go under 12.
Hey,
Some people broke 20 for the first time. It's crazy.
that's excellent. Yeah, I kind of wish my gym cared about speed climbing. So first off, the wall that they use is like 3 feet short of what it needs to be for the regulations, so they can't do the full route. When they do put it up, I sent you the picture the last time.
Yeah.
They've got other routes going through it, and some of the holds, they're not even oriented right. So at that point, it's like, why even go there to train when I'm just going to be disappointed? So
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I started the speed climbing website. It was not just to write about the sport, but there are lots of other people in my position where they don't have access to any speed climbing wall. And I wanted to provide just good, no nonsense training that's going to make people faster and stronger. So that way, when they're able to get to a wall, that they'll actually be able to make the most out of those practice sessions that they have when they have to travel 2 hours to a wall like I do right now. So,
Jeez.
yeah. So
Yeah. When's your next training session?
so I took off a week in the end of September, and my wife did as well. We're gonna go down to Illinois, and we're just gonna stay in a hotel. I'm gonna get probably 2 or 3 sessions in that week.
Nice.
So
Nice.
her family lives in Illinois, so we'll be able to visit family and just do that fun stuff. But that's gonna be the next time. My training wall should be built next weekend. Got my campus board built as well. So like that specific training is good. This is totally already shooting off into training theory, but that's fine. Like up until now, basically just doing traditional speed power work. So sprints, lifting, jumps, med ball throws. I have rock rings at home and a hang board. So I'll do like no hang, like just really weighting up some rock rings and overloading my tendons, that type of stuff in order to get my body adapted to the forces you experience while speed climbing, while not being able to be on the wall.
Yeah.
So
You gotta just go old school. We have to do it speed classic style, how they train, where they just boulder things randomly really fast all the
fast as
time.
possible. So
Yeah.
a little bit about my backstory. So I was a competitive NCAA sprinter. I then competed after college at the USA level, went to USA championships. After that, became a track coach, got my master's degree in coaching. So I feel like I know a little bit about how to set up a training program, and then once I realized I was getting slower in track because I was getting older, I couldn't really compete at that same level. I found climbing, and so I found speed climbing. They had a really basic, just like juggy speed climbing route with a boom, hit the start,
Mhm.
or have someone hit the start, go up, bam. It was like I think it was a 10-meter wall, so like 33 feet of space, and it was pretty vertical, so not even the 5 degree or um angle that you need for the speed wall. But I remember getting down to like 3.5 seconds on that wall. I'm like, yes, like this is
Wow.
for me. Like, and there's an actual speed route, and that was back when places still would put up like the 10-meter route, right? So hit the 10-meter route a couple times. I don't remember what my times were on that, but like they weren't great compared to like, what people were doing internationally then, but I was still like, well, I could go to a competition and still at least have fun. And that was the last time I've been on a speed wall, which was like 2017, 2018.
Wow.
So other than that, I have literally, well, like aside from just having like a couple holds to like practice the start on and stuff, this is a this is a new adventure for me to really just see what I can do other than,
Mhm.
where I had been at. Um, but speed power test wise, like I'm still I would be the fastest person on the college team that I coach for track. So I
Yeah.
know the power and speed is still there.
Yeah.
It's just now transitioning that to the wall. So that's one of the reasons I've been putting out content as well, because this is kind of like a start to wherever this takes me journey. And I feel like that as the sport is still pretty young, there could be a lot of people that might just benefit from, seeing someone else starting from scratch, even though they were already athletic in something else.
Mhm. And the cool thing about speed is like we have anecdotes of really good longevity already. We have Cheech and Zong, Basa, and so like
Oh,
I
Masa.
what this he also has two kids.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like he's your position. It's awesome.
And he's coming back
And
from that ridiculous bicep injury, and he's still
yeah,
like,
5'7",
yeah.
easy.
So
Wow.
that gives me so much hope.
Yeah. When Richard Lee he slipped, I just sort of talked to him. I was like at Salt Lake City. I was like, dude, you're not 10 years ahead of the curve. You're 20 years ahead of the curve. Like, don't worry, you're fine. You got time. You have more time to catch up than you have been alive. I
Yes.
was like, yeah, and you're already ahead. So
So the
it's
thing
really
that you see
cool.
in track and field with sprinters as they get older, it's not their acceleration which falls off; it's their top speed. It's like that elasticity that you need.
Mhm.
And due to the way that speed climbing is, you're fighting gravity the whole time. You're only traveling like 3.5 meters per second at the fastest part, which
Mhm.
you're already traveling faster than in the first 10 meters of a sprint, like within like the first 5 meters of a sprint. So all acceleration. So physiologically, like you've got sprinters that are still world class into like their mid 30s to like late 30s. Um,
Yeah,
but acceleration wise, well into their 40s. So I I think I've got 3, 4, 5 good solid years in front of me. So
yeah, if not more.
right.
Yeah,
Especially because I don't have
and
necessarily the repeat training stresses on my body to have a lot of the same type of uh, just overuse injuries that a lot of athletes get by the time they reach my age if they've stayed in the same
mhm.
sport the whole time. So I'm coming into it with a little bit of a fresher body.
So it's nice. You have an advantage that's a little secret weapon.
It is my secret. Well, not secret anymore. So
Yeah. Oh shoot. Can we? We'll cut that. We'll cut
yeah,
that
yeah,
out.
yeah, we'll cut that out.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I've got just a little handful of questions that I just want to, kind of go over with you. Because we already started on the personal side of things, let's just go there. You're training out of Momentum. What's it like out there, speed climbing culture wise? It sounds like you already have the backing of the gym. From the climbers out there, how's the community response to having a speed climbing club?
It's overwhelmingly positive. Wow. Like I get DMs and messages from the people in the class, like talking about beta. In fact, I'm gonna train with some of the people from the class outside of the thing where I was like, yeah, I'll be there because I'm the coach. So the reason why it got created was there's some liability with auto belays, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
When off tangent, somebody decked at the front from the speed route from the top to the bottom, splat, and was fine. Yeah.
So another side note, that's another reason why I refuse to train at the local gym, is because they don't have the speed belays. They just have the generic True Blue auto
Oh,
belays. So after your first 3 moves, you've got so much slack that if you fall,
yeah.
you're taking a whipper on a auto belay. It
I've done the same. I've almost decked. It's scary.
yeah,
Anyways, so liability of auto belays is pretty high, and so they don't have any waivers for customers in Utah momentum system.
mm,
So the only way you can get around that is if you have a coach present. And so they're like, all right, well, we want to offer speed climbing. It's a resource that's not used.
mhm.
How do we do that? They're like, all right, you're going to facilitate this. And they were just like, do whatever you want to do. Just make sure nobody dies. I was like, okay, I got it.
We can do that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it's been incredible. So outside of that, we have a lot of native speed climbers as well as speed climbers from out of the state, trained with regularly. Grace Crowley, she from Australia, she just won her first race in a final.
I saw
It was
that.
huge, and she PR'd. And so there's some other climbers that I've gotten more psyched in, some ex-youth, and John Brosler's there, but he's injured, so he's going to hop in on our training sessions later. Darren Skolnick is on his way. So we have a lot of high-level USA national speed climbers that are just psyched, and I have a group chat that I made, and it's the Zoom logo from the great world of the internet. And I just get everyone psyched to, hey, if you're going to train, DM the chat. Maybe somebody can join you. Training alone sucks.
Yes.
And yeah, it's really cool. And I think I'm slowly building a community, and it's really receptive.
That's great to hear. And it's great that you're using, this sounds extremely boomer of me, but it's great that you're actually using technology that the speed climbers are using. So like having those group chats, just using those little pieces to build that sense of community. So that way you can then build intra-team accountability. So that way, let's say you're traveling, let's say you're going to be gone for 2 weeks, and they want to be able to train on their own. They're going to already feel enabled to touch base with the other people on the team to set up those training sessions by themselves. Like that's a great culture that you've already started to build.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Out of curiosity, what was sort of like the group mentality when you were training in track?
Oh, so in track, so in track, it can be polarizing between distance and sprints,
Mhm.
and not climbing already understands that with
Yeah.
gym climbers, or your traditional outdoor climbers, or even within the gym, your boulderers and lead climbers versus speed climbers. So everyone kind of self-organizes into a group that they fit in the most with. So sprinters hang out with sprinters, and jumpers distance with distance, etc. But within that, it was very similar. It was like, off season comes around, we don't have any official practices, so we're all texting each other. Back then everyone was still on Facebook, so
Mhm.
Facebook, we had a Facebook group for it so we can organize training, etc. And it was very similar to what you have set up, where the coaches didn't really have to be on us for training, because we took charge, and we um, gave ourselves the authority to organize those ourselves. And that's the best type of culture you can have for a team, is people that are self-motivated to get the work done.
Mhm.
So that was what was
Yeah, I guess it's the. Oh,
oh
sorry.
sorry, I was like, that was what one of the biggest um just kind of like paradigm shifts that I was when I switched to climbing, because I was the only person I knew that was climbing at that time. So I had trained when I was running semi-pro by myself, and it sucked. You know, there's
Mhm.
no doubt about that. It sucked, but I would still be at a track where there'd be people doing similar stuff as me, so I at least felt like I belonged. When I was
Mhm.
starting to go to the gym and just working on like speed climbing, and then afterwards I'm using the weightlifting stuff to do like Olympic lifts and squats when people are doing pistol squats and like TRX straps, I really felt like I stuck out, and there wasn't
Yeah.
a sense of community. So I rapidly switched to bouldering, and that's all I did. So like I worked up to be able to climb V8s, was pretty decent at bouldering for gym stuff, but that's why I stopped speed climbing a couple years ago before starting this website, because there was just a stigma around it, like that it wasn't real climbing, and I was the only
Mhm.
one I knew doing it, and we all want to fit in. So I just was like, well, all right. I mean, bouldering is still powerful, so I can still have fun with that. But that's when I started seeing how active you were and how like it wasn't how I know other gyms have kind of like that again, that stigma with speed climbing, but I saw it changing out by you and like, well, what the hell? The Midwest is supposed to be nice. Like, why are we still so like backwards with this thinking? So I
Yeah.
really I know more people online speed climbing wise than I do in real life. And that's perfectly fine right now because now people like you, I see your story, see you getting the work in. I'm like, he's getting it in today. I don't feel like it, but I'm getting the work in because I'm not left
Yeah.
behind.
You got to push through. Yeah.
Exactly.
Probably the coolest and greatest thing I've ever learned from talking to other coaches and teams was from Basir, the Indonesian head coach.
Hmm.
And I was like, oh, okay, what's the secret weapon? Why are all of you? It's just, we just eat together, we train together, we live together. They're like in a dormitorium style hotel.
Hmm.
And that's it. It's just because we're like a family. And I was like, dang,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
And then when you travel together, because you're already so close, you're not going to have a lot of those same travel stresses that you
Yeah.
experience. The loneliness, the living on the road with new food, new places that you're sleeping. You're already going to be bringing a piece of that with you. And that goes a
Mhm.
long way with international competition.
Yeah. Like, I mean, look at Kiramal and Vidrik. They're brothers.
Yep.
Like they're not by blood, but they're brothers. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was trying to find a way to bring that together here. There's a lot more distance involved with people having to drive like 40 minutes to the gym. But if I can help push it a little bit, I think it's been working. And man, people have been PRing left and right. Grace is going to break 9 for the first time soon. She broke 10 for the first time soon with recently when we were just doing group training sessions. And this other guy who had torn his labrum, got surgery, went from like 8.2 to 7.2. It's crazy.
Oh,
It's crazy.
I love the big drops that the sport's experiencing right now. So speaking of big drops, we should probably talk about Sam.
Oh, geez. The legend, the SWAT team. I was thinking about getting SWAT team
That
t-shirts.
would be awesome.
So the SWATson. He's legendary. I mean, it's very interesting because like his very start of climbing, he was climbing out of Grapevine, and that's where I started coaching.
Okay.
I started coaching very soon after I started climbing. For reference, I've only been climbing maybe 6 years,
Mhm.
6.5, minus injury time even,
Sure.
so it's probably less than that. And one of the stories from one of my fellow coaches was that he went to this summer camp that was about problem solving. So they would have these 10-year-olds solve global problems. Like, all right, how do you solve global warming as a 10-year-old? And so he took all the things he learned from there, gets to the summer camp, is like, all right, guys, we have to solve XYZ with like, he's like coaching the kids, right? He's like, this is how you do it. This is what you need to do. This is how you get better. It was ridiculous. And like, when you see that in a 10-year-old, it's like, okay, you're ahead of your time, aren't you?
Yeah, that's a highly organized mind for that age.
Mhm. And so I'm sure you saw, what were your thoughts about his 5.37 run?
Oh, well, prior to that, his PR was what, 5.6, 5.5?
Officially, I think so, but unofficially it was like a 5.42.
Okay. Okay. So obviously it was great. And then it was a round before that he had the slip that he still came back and
Oh, he had the false start and then he had the slip.
yeah,
Yeah. Or the slip, false
slip. That's
start,
it. That's it.
PR.
That's it.
Yeah.
So when I saw the slip and I saw him charge back, I was like, okay, and still hit that time. I was like, he's ready for a big time.
Yeah.
I thought it was a clean run. And what's really exciting for me anytime I see an athlete like drop from, a significant time is their body isn't used to that speed yet. I mean, maybe in practice, maybe in chunks, but maybe that was the first time they've been able to put it together. So like as that body normalizes to that speed that they've just experienced, and it really becomes like their normal expectation, that's when like the next levels of breakthroughs come through. And given
Mhm.
given the age, given what we've already seen, like you start thinking like this is a legitimate like sub 5.2 person. Like
Yeah.
so that's exciting, especially given the fact he's how old right now?
Yeah, he's
16.
16.
Yeah.
He's 16. Yeah. I don't know when his birthday is, but it's like not for a while. He won't be 17 for a while. Like it's kind of ridiculous.
hmm
Yeah.
How long has he been working on the like the high foot top for the last 3?
He's been doing that since last Youth Worlds.
Okay.
So about a year and like a couple months. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm still excited to see if Indonesian climbers are going to try to adapt to that, to see if they're going to try to see if that makes them any faster. It's really hard to unwire motor solutions that you already
Mhm.
have ingrained through all that practice that they've had. But man, just looking at the time that you're actually applying force during that beta, it just seems so much more efficient for me and more linear that I
Mhm.
have to imagine that that is going to be what we see in the future for most people, as long as they're tall enough to make and strong enough to make that move.
Yeah. I've had this theory or like a dream that you get the neural networks in like Boston or MIT to plug in a climber and see what they come up with a beta. Yeah,
Right.
like a computer.
I mean, to be honest, you could. So it's just we could just be nerds for a second. So like just
Yeah.
programming a wireframe human, and then just like there's actually a pretty set amount of like pretty easy constraints for that because there's only specific ways that they can move.
hmm And you have like a maximum
Yes.
force that they can apply.
Yeah, and then just throw like X amount of computational hours at it, and like I bet it would come up with some interesting stuff.
Yeah. Oh, like me and my friend or the kid that I was coaching, he's 6'5",
Mhm.
no, 6'7" plus 4. So we were inventing and just making a beta after beta after beta. And some of it seemed maybe viable.
Mhm.
I don't know. But like we're just not strong enough or like experienced enough to like make it work. But
Right.
I think there's like still room for better beta.
There definitely is. I think the midsection's pretty solid right now, given the fact that you've
Mhm.
got the three hold ladder climb, which you won't be able to
Yeah.
be faster than that. Going up the wall, I still have dreams of some different tweaks on starting beta. Just it's weird because you have some people that they're going to start more facing on the wall, they're going to crouch down. You get the people which go on the side and they're going to get a little bit more lateral momentum and then swing upwards with that. Um, I don't have any personal data on myself for which is faster, but I'm a nerd. I have velocity trackers for the weight room. I have timing apps for like measuring velocity within like down to 5 meter segments for when I'm sprinting. Like
Mhm.
I like I like playing around. So that is 100% when this wall is built. What I'm going to be doing, I'm going to have my high speed camera behind it. I'm going to have tick marks for every meter, so that way I can at least get some visual on how quickly I'm moving through and if there's a specific beta which works better for me.
I think that's something of a testament to what Sam's PR was a result of because he changed the start to the swing start.
Okay.
And if you look at every other sport, if you move on the start, you're a false start.
Yes, you are.
Speed is the only one where you can just hold your foot on a pad.
Yes.
So this is really unique that like I don't know, I think the swing start is the way, in
And
my opinion.
so
Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah.
I agree. And so the way the beep start works, it is a set cadence beep. So you are able to just, if you're good, nail
Game
the
it.
timing.
Yeah. Mhm.
And that's just all motor learning. That's just practice. So if you think about, building that swing. So if you are tall, you should 100% be using that swing in order to have,
Mhm.
because you've got the longer levers, you're going to be able to generate more momentum. You're going to be able to actually load your legs elastically before that beep goes, and you're just going to have so much more power going up. But again, that's also really hard or really easy to mess up the timing with, though, because if you're just reacting to it, you're guaranteed to not have a false. Which that's one thing that I wish would be a little bit different in speed
Mhm.
climbing. That a false start is an instant. You're done. Um,
Yeah.
I did like it in track and field where you're allowed like one false start charge to the field, and then you're able to reset, and then if you have a second false start, then you're done. It's just I don't know. Competition nerves are really high, and speed climbing competitions already are really quick with how they progress through the rounds. The only reason they took
Mhm.
that out of track is because it was screwing up the sponsor time. So like they weren't able to cut to commercials as soon as they wanted to. So that's the only reason that they cut it out. It was taking too much
Yeah.
time in the program if there was false starts for everyone to reset. But there's also 8 athletes per race to reset. There's only 2 when we're racing in speed climbing. So I would love to see them actually move to that, but you know.
There's some background history. I don't know how much you know about it, but like there's a lot of athletes that used to abuse the rule and to psych out their opponents.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a big reason they took it out. They
Okay.
would literally false start and just smash the wall, like slap the wall really loud and scream.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. See,
So
yeah, you'd have to have some sort of, and I don't know how you end up legislating intent for your false start at that point, because then it just gets
yeah.
subjective. So I can see why they just moved to the one and done.
Yeah. So it's part of it, which is also makes the sport very interesting because it's so volatile.
It is. It is. Because you can have like the last race where Sam sets the youth world record, but finishes third.
Yeah. So it's like, well,
You
yeah.
have to be consistent. And that is, I mean, you see it on the wall, the people that are the most consistent, because you always see them in the finals. Like
Mhm.
Kiramal's the fastest, but Vedrick is just so consistent that you always see him at least in the semifinal or or at least going to the small final.
Yeah. There's some speed climbers out there that are probably should be winning, but their consistency is really bad. Like, or not bad, but it's just like difficult for them to apply.
Yes.
First name that comes to mind is the Kazakhstan athlete. Why do I always forget his name? Amir. He can run 5.2 easily, but he always just like can't put it together in finals.
Yeah.
So I feel bad for him. I'm like waiting for his time to break, and he just runs 5.2 every run in the finals, and he's just like, all right, I'm the best.
Yeah, that's got to be so, like, you start getting in your head after that point as well, where it's like, I have yet to put this together. So now you're putting more pressure on yourself, and you start hitting like this phase of expectation where even if he does hit a 5.2 now in a competition, is it even going to be excited, or is it just going to be, well, it's about time because I know I've been able to do it. And like that,
Yeah.
athlete psychology is super interesting to me. It's one of the reasons why I like coaching, because you get so many different athletes that are coming from different places mentally, and you can kind of funnel them into the right path to keep them progressing and in the right mindset.
I think that's Sam's secret weapon is his psychology. One of the most mature things I've ever heard anyone say, especially from a 16-year-old, he was like, I only want to care about 3 things, like my craft, speed climbing, school, and then like the relationships with a handful of people that matter. I was like, dude,
Man,
are you kidding? Do you know how many people have tried to figure that out and not even close?
Yeah.
That are decades older than you? People are in their 60s and they haven't even figured that out.
Yeah.
I was like, that is incredible. That is
Are you sure
beautiful,
he's
though.
not actually 600 years old and just like has chosen this form?
Yeah. I think he's like Yoda or something, right? Yeah. Yeah. He's ahead of his time.
Yeah.
Like, man, only now, and even then I still struggle with it, balancing those 3.
Yeah.
Like now I figured that out. And I thought I was like early. No,
Right.
not even close.
Yeah. I feel like at my age, like, so in April, I left my office job. That was,
Mhm.
we don't have to get into how terrible that office job was, but I was like, I need to make a move for my mental health. I
Mhm.
did it, had the blessing of my family. And then I was like, it doesn't matter how many self-help books or like, business performance books that you read that tell you about it until you experience it. And then you're like, wow, I really, really did need to focus on my work-life balance before I could actually start improving in other areas of my life. And
Mhm.
for him to already have that mindset, that is just so huge.
Yeah. That's his secret
Yeah.
weapon. That's why he's better than
Yeah,
everyone.
that'll pay dividends throughout his entire life, because once his craft switches, once he's done with speed climbing, he's already got that mindset ingrained. That's just gonna be an easy transition into whatever he chooses to do next. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah.
All right. I think I've answered one question so far that we had to go through. But let's go through a little bit more about you. So I had one question on here that you know what I'm about to ask.
Yes.
What's the day in the life of Albert look like? And how much bread is involved?
Okay, so I wake up and I scream. I have a vulgar 4-letter word that begins with the letter F, and then it says yeah at the end. And I wake up and I look at that, and that's how I start my day. I wake up around 6:30 a.m. every day, mainly because my work is very fortunate. They're flexible with the hours as long as I get the 8 in.
Mhm.
So I can come in pretty early, so I leave early to go to the gym. Um, I don't do caffeine in the morning, and I try to postpone it as long as possible, just so I feel better. Go to work.
Smart.
Work happens. Something. Thinking about speed climbing for a lot of it, and then I go immediately to the gym. This is probably around 4 o'clock by then. Get there, train, either on the wall, off the wall, bouldering. It's kind of, I had a really detailed schedule set at the beginning of my training cycle. And then that went all out the door, and I was like, I just gotta climb. I just
Yeah.
gotta have fun. And then I go home, and then I eat 3 loaves of bread.
Wow. All right.
No, and then I eat, and then I go to sleep, and somewhere in there, I hang out with my roommates, eat food, cook food, watch a lot of speed climbing. I probably just sit there. I go through everyone's story. What are they up to? What are they doing new? And then I go to sleep, and it's really, now that I verbalize it, it's very structured, but feels very unstructured. But that's pretty much every day, Monday through Friday.
All right.
And then on Saturdays, I'll just sort of train really hard on Saturday. Saturday is like my PR day.
Okay.
And then Sunday, rest day, do whatever.
Nice.
That's about it. Yeah.
Excellent. And then you said Saturday's your PR day. So what are your current speed climbing PRs?
6.9. But so that is it's a difficult, I don't even count it as my PR anymore. So I did that last year.
Mhm.
I did that about 7 months into speed climbing. So I was like pretty psyched. I was like, okay, this is good progression. Then I had a really unfortunate back injury. I actually compression fractured. And then right after I got healed, I cracked my knuckle before team trials. And then before I got here, I broke my palm, the bone in my palm. And so I have been in just injury jail for like longer than I ever want to be.
Oh, man.
And so now I just told myself, I never went under 7. My new PR is 7.4 right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
hey,
I'm gonna smash it today.
You're gonna kill it. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, I was of the mindset back when I used to train just without having a job or a family, where I was like, I'm regimented. I had my workouts written out for like an entire 4-week phase. So volumes, progressions, etc. And then when you become an adult, it's like, okay, well, your adult life doesn't actually care about your training schedule. Yeah. So, what's really been helpful for me is like, I know during a week, I want to hit XYZ skills and I want to do it this many times.
Mm-hmm.
So I start off the week on a Monday. I'm like, as long as I have time, I am hitting as many of those skills as I can. That makes sense. I'm not going to burn myself out, overtrain or anything like that. But if I can hit, 2 or 3 of the ones that I want, that's perfect, because then that gives me essentially the rest of the week to hit the other one. So my training essentially right now looks like on a Monday, my lunchtime workout is going to be a little bit of speed training. So usually hill sprints or heavy sled sprints, and then some sort of jumps or plyometrics, or med ball throws. So just really working on explosiveness through the lower body. And then I'll get home, make the family dinner, go out in the garage, and then I'll get a lift in. So that's going to be my heavy strength training. So then I've got a speed and a strength day. Now for either Wednesday or Friday, I really only want to get in at least one more speed day, and ideally another strength day. So that gives me 2 more days throughout the week to get it. And then my other days are going to be spent more on the other end of the spectrum. So those are my speed power days. And then the other days are going to be more whole body conditioning, going a little higher reps, getting a little bit more, working deeper in the energy systems. but keeping the intensity lower so that way when I'm ready to do my speed power days, I haven't used my central nervous system to that extent as I do on those speed power days. It's giving me time to recover so I can actually operate at a maximal capacity when I want to go fast.
Dang. For the viewers out there, you just dropped a lot of good, really smart jargon. And
Sorry about
what
that.
is your background and why you know so much about like a lot of like this central nervous system activation and stuff? And like, what can you teach me
Yeah.
in this moment quickly about that?
Definitely. Okay. So background, like I said, Master of Science in Coaching. So I've taken advanced physiology courses, advanced strength and conditioning. I did my master's degree in West Virginia, so I also climbed out in West Virginia while I was doing my master's degree, which was great. I've coached track and field. I've coached All-Americans. I've coached people on the semi-professional side as well in the sprints. And I have various certifications when it comes to strength and conditioning, speed training, jump training, etc. So I've done a lot of formal training, and I've actually then done the coaching side as well. So with that, like, I'm a nerd. I read a lot because if I'm not training and I'm not working and I'm not with my family, I'm reading. And I just do that because, I like reading. But the stuff that I read is all based around how to make myself better at what I'm passionate about. And that's kind of how I developed this just brain that's full of stuff that's not applicable to my job, but still lets me have fun conversations and develop training. So
Yeah.
when I was in college, before I even started my coaching path, I found a website called EliteTrack.com. It was run by a coach, Mike Young. Mike Young's based out of, I think, Cary, North Carolina. He was a coach for LSU on their track team. He turned me on to the LSU style of training, Dennis Shaver, Boosh Exnader, and Todd Lane as well. But they are all very much on the days you want to go fast, you need to go fast, and that is just what you're doing. And on the days that you're not going fast, you need to go so far on the other end of the spectrum that you're not dipping into the same well twice. So you can think about it as you've got your speed and power well, and you've got your general conditioning well. So on your speed days, you don't want to drink out of this well because it's not going to let you develop this as fast as you want to. And on your general conditioning days, you don't want to dip back into this well because it's not full yet. You don't want to deplete this before your next speed day. So the easiest way to think about it is you really want to polarize your training. You want to have your speed power days be speed and power. And on the next day, you're going to do light circuit work. You're going to do stuff that, your speed power day, you're working a lot of the same motion. So you're going to just diversify your movements on that recovery day. So that way you can still develop holistically. You can prevent any of those overuse injuries that you would get on your speed day. It also affords you just a little bit more fun. So you can do, speed climbing one day, and then the next day, if you are really into, I don't know, like jujitsu, you can roll with your friend on the mats and just, or like, now tricking's different because tricking is definitely high intensity, but with the combos you throw, you end up running deep into that endurance well as well. So like, I wouldn't recommend tricking on a recovery day. That would have to be a high intensity day. But so for people listening and watching, turns out Albert and I both have been involved with tricking for a very large portion of our life, and it's just really weird that we found each other.
It's crazy. Yeah, like, I mean, I used to talk to Juji Mufu
Yeah.
on the forums years ago.
Tricks tutorials, because it was him and I can't remember the other guy that he used to do the videos with, but like Scorch and like those old ones from like 2003 were just ridiculous. That's him, Joe Igo, and Steve Tirada were who I learned how to do all my stuff in the backyard from.
Yeah. Do you remember what moon facing is?
No.
Oh, this is just like a classic esoteric meme where like if you got like temporarily banned, they just changed your profile photo to a moon face. But yeah, it's crazy. Like, oh man, there's like a lot, and this is another offshoot, but Josh Levin just hit the buzzer at American Ninja Warrior. Great speed climber. He was one of America's best. His brother is Yuri Levin, like one of the best Cirque du Soleil trickers out there. There's just a lot of crossover in the world.
There is.
Of, like,
and I mean, if you talk about just your spatial awareness of your body. If you can do parkour, you're going to be able to transition into whatever sport you want to pretty seamlessly if you're able to do those at a high level, just because the demands on your body. You have to be strong, you have to be powerful, you have to understand where your body is in space, and you have to learn how to make really rapid changes when you mess up. So
yeah. So it's like such good crossover. And honestly, like that's probably the second sport that I really like dove into. First was hurdles. I was like, yeah. And now of course speed climbing makes sense.
Yeah.
It's literally just hurdles and doing flips, but upwards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got a little, man, these offshoots have been great. I want to make sure we're making the best use of our time. Let's chat a little bit about the professional circuit right now. So who are you watching like the most intently that like you just enjoy watching the most? Like, is it just like, you know, anyone who's running fast, or do you have specific people that you're just like really drawn to?
Anya Brozek, I am so psyched ever since she just like believed at that one comp where she dropped her PR by like, I don't know, 0.4 or something. So whenever an athlete does that, I'm like, okay, watch them for the next one. And then the next one is Eric Noya. I really wish you to meet him one day. He is just the life of the world. The life of the world. He's the energy. He's happy, and he has like the never giving up story, and he applies it to the wall. I forget which country he was originally from. I think Venezuela or Colombia. Okay. And basically he speed climbed a little bit there, didn't speed climb. The country kind of got really bad, and he just moved to Spain as like all in. And then within a year or a couple months, he got second at World Championship. And I think that's just like, dude, this guy does not give up. He doesn't make excuses. Yeah.
Oh, I love Eric. Like, he's always been super responsive and just, you know, really nice on Instagram. Anytime I just send him like a congratulatory message or anything. And he's the type of person that you would have to be really hard pressed, it feels like, to find a reason to not like him.
Yeah. And I mean, also he's a majestic human. He's so buff. And, like, he's the same. He's huge.
There's definitely that as well. You're like, I don't want to actually know you in real life to go out like the bar with you, because I just like that's too much. That's too much to be compared versus. So
I can't do this right now. Yeah. But yeah, so then aside them, it's like obviously John, he's like my homie. Like, I gotta support him. But then from there, you gotta look at the top guys. Kiramal, also amazingly nice human. Fadrik. And then I would love to meet the Chinese team. I want to see what they're like in person. I want to know how they act. They seem very classically trained.
Yes.
From a Chinese athletic standpoint. And so I'm very curious to see what they're like.
Yes. So I know on the Chinese track and field side, they have no issue paying big money to bring well-known and good performance coaches over to their national teams, even if they don't speak Chinese, and they'll provide a translator for them so they can run their training camps and just get them at top level. It would not surprise me to see, if Kiramal does not break 5 seconds, that it's one of the Chinese athletes that does it, just because of the legacy of sport in China and what that means to them nationally, to have world recognition, being the number one in the world. They have a lot of money that they throw to their national sport associations. The US does not. In any capacity, unless you are NFL, NBA, MLB, etc., you're not making money in the US if you're not doing any of those major sports, and you don't have any national governing body support either. So from that standpoint, I'm very proud of the US and how well we do in these competitions. But it would not surprise me to see China on men's and women's become the country that everyone else is chasing.
Yeah. I mean, technically, Jinbao, wouldn't he have beaten, he would have won under 5.
Yes.
Because he had like the 5:04. But his reaction time was like a little low. So I mean, we already have 2 people who can go under 5. And then if you look at their pool, everyone's sub 5'2". Everyone.
Yes, and consistently.
Yeah. Their bad runs are 5'3".
Right.
Okay, so like, yeah, that's a winning time. Of course.
Yes.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah. So that's one, like, we have such deep talent pools in the US. We have, I mean, whether it's the club sports or the grade school sports leading up into high school, etc. There is a culture of sport in the US. So we have talent that are fast enough and powerful enough and built correctly to be competitive. We already have some. John's one of them, Sam, etc. But we don't have that talent depth yet where we can field a team where we can throw 5 people at this competition and everyone's going to run 5.2. Part of that has to do, I'm sure, with other countries having talent identification systems like, okay, you're going to be good at this sport, we're going to have you train for this sport. But I do think that once speed climbing gets a little bit more mainstream, whether that's with local high school teams that are able to train at gyms or what have you, I think that the talent pool is going to deepen and we're going to be able to at least maintain our competitiveness. So ideally, that's my dream. I mean, I'd like to see us get more competitive.
It's
I'd love to see. There's plenty of athletes out there which haven't even been introduced to climbing at this point, which could be a 5-second speed climber that isn't, just because they've never done it. So at that point, it becomes a question of accessibility and developing a love for the sport. That's the only down thing that I see with climbing, is that you are unfortunately gate kept by the wall, where if you don't have access to it, you're never going to be able to realize that you're good at it. Whereas easier sports like track, you just need a place to run. Soccer, you just need a ball and a net, etc. It's easier to identify the talent in those sports early on than it is for speed climbing.
The recognition of a nation to give certain sports is very difficult to get a grasp around, especially in America. So like in Indonesia, especially if you read Vedrik's bio, if you just Google it, it's like speed climbing was his way out. Like he was not in a good position financially with his family. His mom was like working 2 jobs to support him and stuff. And in China, it's very similar. Like that's their way out.
Right.
In America, if you're a good athlete, don't do speed climbing. Your way out's like track, football, do anything else.
Right.
And so like, yeah, it's like, oh man, I wonder, would we have an insane speed climber? Like, imagine Tyson Gay was a speed climber.
Sure.
For sure, he's sub 5.
Right.
100%.
Like,
no doubt.
Or
but please don't speed climb. I'm glad you did track.
Ashton Eaton. Yeah. So broke the world record in decathlon.
Yeah.
Fast as hell, powerful, jumps out of the pit. Insane work ethic. And he's got really good body proportions for speed climbing. He would by far and away become one of our better speed climbers, or the best. But you don't get scholarships to school for speed climbing.
Yeah.
And you don't get $100,000 for breaking the world record every time like you do in track.
Yeah. And so like in Indonesia and in China, it's like, yes, speed climb, that's your way out. But in America, it's like, please don't speed climb. You should go do track. Go do something else. Yeah. So it's difficult. And what my new venture is like, I'm looking for those ex-college or ex-track male and female athletes, and I will coach them for free. You're my experiment. I want to see what you can do. That would be my dream.
That is a great idea, and I'll tell you why. Because there is no transition available that's like, at least not when I was an athlete. There's no transition plan for when you leave college and have to enter the working world. And now you just wake up for a job. There's a fire that still burns in you. Like, I miss training and I miss competing, and I don't know how to do it now. Which is why CrossFit gyms exist, because people just want to go around people and work out hard and feel good about themselves. Like CrossFit became like, who can work out the best? Like, it's kind of a running joke, but like there are high level athletes there that is their outlet for getting that sense of competition. And they're all usually ex-college athletes that they can't do their sport anymore, because where the hell are you going to run track? Where are you going to play just like pick up football after you graduate? Yeah, that's a great talent pool to pull from.
There was a high school track star that I actually competed with when I was in high school that I met at the gym in Houston. And I was like, wait, I feel like I know you. And he got psyched on speed, and we were about to start training, and then it fizzled out. But he was like, his transition was rugby. And then my friend who was competing against him was like, that's the fastest guy I've ever seen. Nobody could touch him. We all lost. And I was like, oh, please get him on the speed wall, please. Like, oh man, I want him on there so bad. But so yeah, like any ex-track athletes, if you're hearing this and you're interested, we'll coach you for free.
Yes, and I will also offer that for the Midwest, that if you just want any training plans on just keep getting faster and stronger, so that way when you go to a wall, because you're obviously not going to find one in Wisconsin, hit me up. You can direct message me, direct message Albert if you're in his area, and we'll get you training. We'll get you fast so you can climb.
Yeah, that's probably the coolest thing that I've recently done is I opened up free online coaching to anyone that's like invested in speed. Oh, it's like really cool. And now the kids are getting faster than me, and I'm like,
What did I
oh
do?
no, what have I done? I think almost everyone I've coached is like pretty much faster than me right now.
Hey, that's good.
It's like, okay, I think I'm doing it okay on the coaching side, but man, I need to check myself. I am slow.
That's all right. It keeps you honest, especially when you see. What also lets you know that if you see them progressing, that what you're doing with yourself should still be working. So if they weren't progressing and you weren't progressing, you might have questions about your coaching ability and what you're having them do. But if they're progressing, then
Yeah,
you wouldn't have any of those worries.
They're all like breaking 7 easily. I'm like, man, you don't even know what it's like right now. I'm suffering so hard.
I just got visited by the speed cat.
Oh, heck yeah. What's the
This is
name?
Ginny, after Ginny Weasley.
Oh, nice. Okay, what's the fastest animal to be on the speed wall then? That could like probably, if you stuck them on a harness and they could climb it, what would it be?
Oh,
like birds obviously don't count.
what was that? Birds don't count?
Birds obviously
It's
don't
gonna
count.
have to be like a bonobo or like a chimpanzee, right?
Yeah, right? Or can a cat do
Yeah,
it?
I mean, definitely. You've seen leopards climb
Yeah.
trees in the savannah. I think they're in the savannah.
Mhm.
But like lions don't really climb trees, but leopards do, and so do jaguars.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Ooh.
But are they too big?
Hmm.
Would they just like fall back?
But I mean, like, they've got the claws. They'll be able to get in on the.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, definitely.
I thought about this question randomly as well. I was
Huh.
like,
That's a good question.
yeah, maybe it is just monkeys.
Monkeys are stronger upper body with that good ape index. However, when you're fighting gravity, if you've got strong legs, that's what gets you up. And let's be honest, cats have 4 legs that do a whole lot of work.
Yeah, so is it a
I
cat?
think I now want to see if we can find a video at some point of like a jaguar chasing a monkey up a tree and who wins, because I think that
Yeah.
might answer the question for us.
Yeah. And not just through evasive
Right,
maneuvers,
right.
just like
Straight
pure
race,
climbing.
like who's gonna win this?
Yeah.
Because what other good, strong climbing? I mean, bears, but like
They are pretty fast.
they are, and they can climb trees faster than a human can, but that's not hard. We're not the greatest athlete at climbing, which is why it's so fun to do.
Yeah, we're high key bad at it. Like we're kind of designed not to
there's a
climb
reason
that
why we
much.
came down from the trees.
Yeah.
That's a good question. What else is out there that
I feel like lizards is cheating too, because they can just suction the walls. Of course, they're going to be faster.
like I kind of want to see a squirrel do it. The holes are big enough; they can get their whole body on them.
Yeah, they can.
And they jump crazy. Like they can jump on top of my bird feeder that's 6 feet tall, so they're not going to have any issue going between those. Yeah, it might be a smaller rodent or a smaller, like one of those, like smaller, like pocket-sized, like monkeys that like don't really look like what are those, like a tamarin or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the next
It is the
venture.
next venture.
We gotta
Is it
put speed walls in the
inappropriate to
zoo.
have animals racing as like a side hustle?
Oh. No, we just put the wall at that zoo, and then they'll eventually be curious to do
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Put some food at the top. Like a quick 5 meter. It doesn't even
Yeah.
have to be like the full
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Man, you got my brain spinning on this now. Just like think about what other ones are out there.
Yeah, like and like they can't be like cheating animals, like birds. Yeah, they would win.
Right.
Most lizards probably would win.
Yes.
But yeah.
Like you can't do a bug, but I mean, like,
Yeah, they would just fly like a bee
yeah.
or like a yeah, of course they're gonna win. So
Hmm. Red pandas are just too,
anyways.
red pandas are just too like lazy and rolly. Definitely not a
Yeah,
regular
they don't
panda.
care. No.
Yeah.
Mm,
All right.
interesting.
So I mean, I think that pretty much has like all the stuff that I wanted to talk about. Do you have anything for me for the people that are the 7 people
Who's
that are gonna
your
listen?
picks? Who's your picks for speed climbing? Like, who do you watch and why do you watch them?
Oh, well, I obviously watch whoever is currently the fastest at the competition because from like a biomechanics standpoint, I take the videos. I mean, I do not rip the videos IFSC. I don't ever do that.
Wait, yeah, what are you talking about?
I
You
just
just watch
watch
it over
them.
and over again and scroll it. Yeah.
And I put them through. I use a software called Canovia. It allows me to go frame by frame and do some analysis, draw some angles, etc. And I really
Mhm.
just like seeing like the differences between if two people run the same time but they're different body types, like what are they doing differently, how are they creating those motor solutions for their bodies. And it's exciting for me because you see like little like variances between two different athletes that show you that yeah, it is possible. Like there is no set body type for speed climbing, at least not at this
Mhm.
point, that we know of, that is going to be more optimal. And there's different variations in beta, etc. So just from like a coaching standpoint, anyone who's going fast is just who I'm watching. I have loved Kiermal since the first time I saw him race last year when he broke onto the scene. And you're just like, you are exactly what we expected speed climbing to be: powerful,
Mhm.
fast, energetic. Um, uh, Reza was the first speed climber that I started watching because this was like 6 years ago, and he was what, 5.6 back then, setting that world record.
Yeah. 5.48.
5.48. I think because he broke the record that was a 5.6, I think it was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And
The original one's Danilo Boldyrev. Yeah.
just like, I mean, this is a total aside. Like, I like watching him race. I hate watching him train. And this is absolutely no offense to him. But kind of going back to that training theory that I go by, where you can be fancy or you can be fast, right? And the fancier, the
Yeah.
more complex you make a movement, the harder it is for your body to organize and actually produce power quickly. You look at his Instagram training, he does a lot of fancy stuff.
Yeah.
And he does a lot of higher rep stuff, but he's still lowering his times.
So I think he does it for the
I
gram. I
think he
think he's
does it
just
for
doing
the
it for the
gram.
gram.
Like,
Yeah.
and sure, he's got a huge following. I'm sure he makes a lot of money off of his social media impressions, especially, anytime he sets a new record, like lowers that Iranian national record, like lots of
Mhm.
engagement on those posts, etc. I would do the same thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, but I need to take his Instagram post with a grain of salt when watching those, because I'm like, okay, this is very borderline ridiculous what you're doing. So I'm hoping this is like after your workout and you're just like, this looks like it's going to be really fun to do. I want to take a video of it rather than being the meat and
Yeah.
potatoes or bread and salad of his training program.
Yeah, it's genius. I think he does it for the gram because like he's clearly very athletic.
Oh yeah.
He improves.
Yeah, the man's made like
But it's like
3% body fat and he's built like a
yeah.
statue. Just like I would 100%. If
That's the
I had
thing
that body,
about like
I too
other
would do similar stuff for the gram. But I
yeah.
don't. I've got a little bit of a dad bod, so you know.
In other countries, like him in Iran is Kylie Jenner in America. Like, so, like, what he
Yeah,
does, he's
right.
doing it. It also, it's a secret because then he gets to keep his real training secret.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Iran has a long history of successful powerlifters in the Olympics.
Mhm.
So you see, I know they know how to train people. So I'm convinced that he does have really solid training. My only concern is whenever people just post specifically stuff for the gram, is that the people that are coming up that idolize him are going to think that that's sound and valid training that he's doing and showing.
Yeah.
And from that standpoint, if anyone has any questions on why I don't necessarily like some of the stuff that he does, feel free to send me a message. I can go into details elsewhere, but let's just say don't ever choose a workout program based off of who the best in the world are and what they're doing, because you also have to remember that they might have a genetic advantage over the traditional population.
Yeah.
So there is a really well-researched strength and conditioning, speed power exercises, which work for the general population as well as that upper level. And we should focus on those really sound qualities, those really sound exercises that work. Sorry, I dropped my water and it's spilling all over the place down here.
One last tangent that will open up a conversation for you. So China now has 5 consistent athletes under 5'2". They range from Jin Bao to Liang Zhang in height. What is your opinion of ideal height and body composition and like what it should look like?
I'm gonna say that taller is probably going to be better. And just from the standpoint of some of the moves, if you're shorter, you are kind of gliding up to them. You are applying lots of power, but you have a little bit of weight before you actually get in the position where you can start applying power down on that next step. We don't have rockets as humans. Like, so if we don't have points of contact on the wall, specifically our feet, we're not putting power out. We're slowing down because of gravity. So if you're taller, you're probably going to be able to hit those positions faster and be able to then move into the next just optimal position for your limbs to apply power downward. So I think Jin Bao has a little bit of an advantage on due to his height. When it comes to muscle,
He's the short one. He's the
he is the
short
short one. Wait, I thought he's
Yeah,
still
he's
like
the shortest
5'8".
one. No, he's very short. He's like 5'5" or
Shoot.
something. Liang Zhang's
That's
the
it.
tall
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't
Like,
know.
I don't think that we have a big enough data set to have any specific conclusions. So this is just me just thinking out loud. But I think that there is going to be a lower limit to how tall you can be in being like elite successful. Just because of kind of that float factor. Now, however, I think there's probably going to be a detriment to being too tall. Just the fact that as you get taller, you're like, think about your upper leg. A lot of people, when they're going up the wall, they're already externally rotating their hips. So they've got, the hips kind of splayed out and they're going to be applying power with that external rotation. The longer you are, the further back that's going to put your hips. That's going to make it harder to then apply force downward because your center of mass is too far off the wall. So there will be a sweet spot in there. I'm just not sure where it is yet.
I think there's even a too tall. Yeah. I think I'm too tall.
You think how tall are you?
I'm almost 6'2". And when we look, I was thinking, who does the most skip? It's me, Ethan Pitcher, and this Russian guy, Pashkov Ira, I gotta forget his name. Everyone else does the basa, which is like, it's fast, but people know that it's a little slower than Tomoa. Yeah. I'm like, I feel scrunched on the Tomoa skip. And so it's like, where's the trade-off of being too scrunched and being tall? But like all the other moves, the dyno's so easy. Once I get to the top and I have momentum, my top is the fastest section. So then it's like, ooh, where does the line draw?
Yeah. And some of that about when you get taller, you do really have to then make sure that, how do I put this in the right way? Strength becomes a huge factor. You see it in track and field with the starts when people are taller. Usain Bolt notoriously was known for, like, they said he had a slow start. what he had was slow block clearance from being scrunched. Once he was able to open up, he actually had one of the fastest 30-meter splits ever in a race. I think he actually might still have that. Although the Chinese athlete last year may have beat him.
Oh.
I can't remember his name at this time. But regardless, he was tall, scrunched in the blocks. And you saw that more often than not. The taller athletes, a little bit more scrunched, slower block clearance. And then once they were able to get moving, they were good. So strength really does become a key factor then, especially strength in those deeper ranges of motion. So squat deep.
Yeah, it's difficult. Like, I'm very flexible as well, but like one detail of the start that I envy everyone else is when they pull off the start, their arms are up here when they grab the Tomoe skip hold. I grab it here just because like I'm naturally like landing here. And it's hard for me to get my arms up that fast.
Sure.
And so like, man, it's like, am I too tall for the Tomoa? I don't think so, because Ethan and Pashkov make it work, but it's harder for me for sure.
Maybe this is where you come in with the unknown tall person's beta.
Yeah. Oh, the secret gala skip. It is ridiculous, but I wish it works. Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna be calling it here. I've got to take care of the little ones today, but this is a great conversation, and I definitely want to have you back in order to dive even further, because I think we got through maybe like a half of the questions that I wanted to, because we just went on so many good tangents. But it's great to have someone to talk with, and it's great for the community to hear other people that are extremely passionate about speed climbing and actively working to make the speed climbing community more inclusive and opening with more opportunities to the people that want to take part. So I just want to thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. And I hope that it becomes so big that I can just open up a wall in any city and get people on the wall and start
franchise it. It'll be great. I'll run the Midwest one for you.
Done.
Excellent.
Done.
All right. So Albert, thank you again for coming on. It was great to have you. For those of you that don't follow him already, he is at Professor Oak on Instagram. And what is your YouTube? Is it the same?
I think it's just Albert Oak.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So I'll put the links below in the description, so that way you can find him if you don't already. And we look forward to having you back next time. I'm sure you'll be able to come back on next time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Of course.
All right.
Thanks so much for having me, Josh.